going to be talking about iteration planning, sometimes called sprint planning. Iterations are time boxed to a certain length of time. We like to look at 1 or 2 weeks, though Scrum says 2 to 4 weeks. Myself, I think anything longer than 2 weeks is too long, but that's my opinion. And what we want to do is start to take on our backlog in chunks, get it delivered in a way that can be demonstrated to the customer. And this is what we're going to use as a planning session to take a certain amount out of the backlog, plan it, and then execute on the plan and then see how we do. So the product owner, customer, is the person who really owns the responsibility for selecting the stories for the iteration plan. Often that's going to come from something like a release plan that we've done some high-level laying out of what we're going to accomplish over time. So that comes out as an input into this process, and the product owner can choose to even change that an hour before the meeting. The implication is that we have all the information that we really need to start for each item they want to play in there. So we get this list of stories. We'll probably take a look at, say, are they really ready? But one of the things I've seen a lot is just a lot of variation with how people actually run their iterations and plan for them. Some of the better ones, let's say for early adopters, they would go through this list, and then we would identify maybe a ringleader developer to say, hey, you know what, we want to take a look at validating our high-level estimates. Let's go through and create a task list. So they'll go through, take a look at that, maybe talk with the product owner if they have any questions, and come up with a list of tasks and estimated time for each one of those tasks. I like to see them do that in parallel, so they're going through and doing this detailed level of planning at the same time. Then we're going to get together, have the product owner review and introduce the story to everybody so everybody's on the same page. Hopefully there's some sort of acceptance criteria or specifications that could be great examples for us to build off of. And then we'll have the person who is the ringleader for that story present the estimate. In some ways, when you go through and talk about the estimates, that this is in some ways like a mini design review, where they can go through and say, here's what we're going to do. We might need to add this database. We might have to do this. We might have to do that. And then the other developers can say, hey, you know what? What about this? We need to do this kind of thing. Maybe it's we got to hook in some instrumentation for performance or something like that. Say, oh, yeah, I missed that. So we go through up so everybody on the team has an idea of what's supposed to be done. And then we'll hit the end of that story. We know how many hours. So this is an example of where we drop down a level of detail from release planning and story points to maybe iteration plans in hours. So you know how many hours we're looking at going through finishing up that story. And that's going to include things like testing. So we go through and run through each of the stories until we hit the number of hours the whole team has, and that really says, okay, we're done. So maybe our release plan said we're going to do 10 stories, but when we look at them in detail, we're actually only going to get 8 done. So that's what we're going to go through and commit with the customer. We'll probably have some developers sign up for particular stories. It didn't have to be the people who created the estimates, though they might have been involved. Sometimes people will pick stories to say, hey, that's part of the technology I want to learn, or hey, that's really tricky. I want to be a part of that, and I'll pair with somebody else to go through and work on that story. And then we're pretty well set to go. So we've got our list of stories, we've got our task lists, and now we go off and do them.